Welcome back to Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
And, in our first segment, we talked about the Blackhawks and some of the moves that they made today. And now we're going to move on to the White Sox and sort of talk about the turmoil that they've been in the last week or so. They have not been playing well, and especially James Shields is really, even before they get a chance to bat, they're down like 6-0. So not good.
Not at all. And James Shields is the first Major League pitcher since 1894 to allow 7 or more runs within the first 3 innings of a game in 3 consecutive starts.
Yeah, because he did it his last start with San Diego, and then when he came to the White Sox, he's had 2 starts since he's been here, and he has not played well at all. So I don't know what the deal is. I feel like them DFAing Matt Latos might have been a bad move because he was pitching better than James Shields is right now.
Danks was pitching better than James Shields.
Right, so is Danks, which, you thought you would never say, obviously. So it's pretty crazy what's going on. And the Sox really are not playing well. Their offense has been playing a lot better.
Yeah, and now except then when they got Shields and Miguel Gonzalez was brutal yesterday. The Sox pitching staff gave up 11 runs yesterday. The offense woke up, and except they scored 8 runs and still lost. And now the Sox sit at 32-33 on the season, 3.5 games out of first place.
Isn't it amazing that they're only 3.5 out of first still?
It really is with the massive downslide that they've had, except they're also in 4th place in the division, and I'm pretty certain that Kansas City and Detroit would hold the tiebreaker over the White Sox in any circumstance that they were playing for a wild card or for the division, since it seems like the Sox do not beat their own division.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they would definitely hold a tiebreaker, and they can't beat the teams in their own division. I'm not sure how their record is against the Indians, but we know it's bad against Detroit, and it's worse against Kansas City. They cannot beat those teams, and if you can't beat them, they're not even playing that well, Detroit and Kansas City. So I don't know what the deal is. The offense, like we said, has been playing better. The starting pitching has been worse. The bullpen has been the worst thing ever.
The bullpen, really has not been that good as it had been since that Royals series when they gave up 15 runs in the 3 games. And right now, you really have to kind of wonder if anyone's job is actually in jeopardy.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as the manager is concerned, I don't think they would do that in season. But I think if they have a bad season, you almost have to fire Robin Ventura.
Well, his contract is up at the end of the season, so I'm sure they'll re-sign him, though.
I don't know. I mean, if I was there, I wouldn't. And it depends what Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams, and especially what Jerry Reinsdorf wants to do. He's not the reason why they're losing all these games. But when you have this would be the 4th season in a row of mediocrity. I think so. 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, so this would be the 4th season that they haven't done anything.
10 and 11, they were also not very good either. 2012, they were pretty good in Robin Ventura's first season.
Yeah. But since then, nothing. And everyone that they've called up and everyone, all the moves that they've made, they haven't really worked out yet.
And speaking of moves that they made, they also signed Justin Morneau to a 1-year deal worth $1 million, and then you find out that they signed him, placed him on the DL, and said he probably won't be ready until the end of July or beginning of August when the playoff race is over. And I saw a lot of tweets that people are sending the White Sox, and someone sent them a tweet that said, "Stop trying to assemble the 2010 All-Star team."
Yeah, that's what it seems like when you get James Shields, Justin Morneau. I don't understand the Justin Morneau signing.
Rick Hahn said that it was a left-handed bat that'll be a force in their lineup.
Yeah, for the last month when they're already who knows how far back they'll be at that point.
Well, also at that time, you also just throw in the fact that Hahn also said that he won the batting title with Colorado, hitting at Coors Field 2 seasons to be getting that player.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be happening.
No, and as you said, who knows how many games they'll be out of first place by the time Morneau's healthy. And, you also have to factor in how long it's going to take him to get back into the swing of things. get used to major league pitching again because he's pretty much taken a whole year off. He was a free agent, and nobody would sign him because of his injury. They didn't know when he'd be ready. The White Sox signed him, and you find out he might not even be ready until August.
Yeah, so that's not good.
He's recovering from a very severe injury. I believe he has a torn rotator cuff in his shoulder. It was some really bad shoulder injury.
Yeah, it's a bad injury, and he's not going to be ready until late July, something like that. So I don't know what the deal is with that necessarily, but they do need another bat in that lineup, especially if they want to try to compete with their poor starting pitching in 3, 4, 5 spots, and then no bullpen whatsoever. So I'm not sure where they think they're going with it, but luckily for them, Kansas City and Detroit haven't played well, and neither has Cleveland. At least none of those teams have played well enough to lead the division by more than 5 games.
Right. You also have to factor in how well Detroit and Kansas City's records are because of their record against the White Sox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their record's probably a little bit better. The Sox got swept in Kansas City. They got swept in Detroit, too, I think.
They were swept in Detroit, and then the Sox lost 2 of the 3 games in this series.
Yeah, so I don't know.
And that series in Detroit, they were swept when they had both Sale and Quintana pitching in the series.
Right. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I feel like they need. A manager change isn't going to really change the record of this team necessarily, but maybe there would be some smarter decisions. And
there's a lot of odd decisions Robin Ventura makes, and it usually involves the bullpen.
Yes, it usually involves bullpen. Normally, I'm mad at him for taking people out too early. He hasn't faced one batter, take him out, put in another batter. That's what he used to do a couple years ago, and it never seemed to work out. Now he's leaving people in too long, it seems.
He is, and now he's trying to get more. Like, James Shields should have been gone after the 3rd inning last night. He only left him in to try to get some innings.
Right. And, that's what happens when the bullpen. I saw something in the last 8 games, the bullpen's pitched 34.5 innings or something.
I mean, it's probably getting tired from all the starters not going deep into games.
Exactly. And they're bringing up all these people from AAA that we'd never heard of, and that's never good when you go right into a spot right away. You're obviously going to struggle a little bit.
Right.
And so I don't know.
And back to Robin Ventura's handling of the bullpen, it's also who he's bringing in at certain times. Like back in the Royal Series, why would you bring in that rookie Conley in the 9th inning after you pulled David Robertson?
Yeah, and another thing about David Robertson, he should be the best bullpen pitcher. He has not played like it, and he has not been good since he's been here. I mean, he's had a couple nice saves. He's pitched well in spurts, but overall he's been bad in his year and a half with the White Sox.
That's kind of going by, if you look at his stats, when he was with the Yankees, he was terrific. ERA around 2 or under 2, and last year
with the White Sox.
You had
Mariano.
Yeah, he had. Yeah, also he was a setup man with the Yankees. Where he's closing now, and I know right now his ERA is over 4, and that's kind of inflated from that 6 runs in a third of an inning against the Royals, and last year I think he ended up being around 3.50 his ERA, and obviously when you're making $12 million a year, that's not good enough, especially when your team badly needs you. Because, the White Sox are struggling. They need somebody to step up. I know Jose Abreu has got the bat going a little more. Mm-hmm. And as you said, they need another bat in the lineup, and Justin Morneau won't do that, because what the kind of bat they need is an outfielder. Justin Morneau is probably going to be DHing.
They definitely need an outfielder, especially, and of course Austin Jackson's on the DL right now. But Austin Jackson was a starting player for the White Sox. That tells me that they already need outfield help when you have that, and when you have obviously El Garcia, who can't field. I don't think he'd be able to field a tennis ball out there. I don't know. That's not the right analogy for it, but I don't think he'd be able to do anything out there, and he's made a lot of mistakes, obviously, El Garcia.
Right, and as you're going back, if Austin Jackson is the starting outfielder for you, you're in trouble. It's like the Bulls management, where they're expecting Mike Dunleavy to be one of the key components of the roster. It's just like
not going to happen.
If that's the case, you did not do a good enough job assembling your roster, and the White Sox, they just have holes. They called up Tim Anderson He had a very nice debut, had a couple hits, because he hasn't really done much since then.
Right. A guy that I would like for them to play more, and he played well. He had a home run last night, and he seems to be getting back on track, is Tyler Saladino. He's been playing pretty well, and he's a great fielder, as we know. He's made some terrific plays this year in his limited time, because they refused to not cut Jimmy Rollins, which I think is next.
Well, they did cut Jimmy Rollins.
Oh, yes.
He was designated for assignment
they did.
to bring up Anderson.
They did that last week, I guess. Oh, okay, yeah. So they did do that. So Saladino is playing more, but why he wasn't playing more from the start, I don't know. I'm not sure, because I think he could be a pretty good player.
Right, and another guy on that roster that I can't understand why he's getting so much playing time is J.B. Shuck. He's playing Robin Ventura has him DHing and batting fifth, and
instead of Avi,
and he's hitting like 181.
Right,
and he's DHing and batting fifth. This guy shouldn't even be on the roster.
Yeah, he's batting fifth. He was like a bench player for the Angels a few years ago, and I think he was starting a couple times for them. But I mean, it's just ridiculous. And he shouldn't be DHing. It should be Avisail Garcia who's DHing, because if there's a plus side to Garcia, it's that he can hit sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes
he's hitting 250, except he does have power. He's still trying to learn his power stroke and put that together. And I mean, it's just like decisions like that. Like, why is J.B. Shuck your number 5 hitter when he's hitting 180? And then why is he DHing? I mean, and when Robin Ventura has to do that, that again shows that Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams did not assemble a good enough roster.
No, they didn't, and that's
clear
to see.
They had a roster that probably overachieved the first month and a half of the season.
Yes.
I mean, they were playing well, except they probably overachieved when you think of how good.
I don't think we thought that they'd be 23-10 to start the season.
No, and obviously Matt Latos was a big part of that, pitching really well. Except then he just started doing so bad that they had to designate him for assignment.
Right.
Except, I mean, as we said, the White Sox have some holes. They need an outfielder, another bat, probably another starting pitcher, unless Shields can get his act together, and another bullpen arm. And honestly, I just don't see any of that happening. They'll probably go for some sort of cheap option at the deadline. So I mean, it's kind of wait and see. It's only June right now. It's going to be an interesting trade deadline on both sides of town, and coming up after this break, we'll get more into the Cubs and as they continue their historic start to the season. You're listening to the Sports Renegades on SportsTownChicago.com.